Facebook's and the YouTube up.
Periscope, live now.
Now Periscope is updating.
Yep. That's crazy.
All right.
So Frank, you said you're gonna do an RV and travel.
Yeah, so we're hopeful. So some of our expos that we're seeing, I can't predict. I had Craig Jackson on. I've had Drew Alcazar on from Russo and Steel several months ago, and it was even difficult for them cats to predict, when. I think they're having something coming up in March. It's not our traditional week in January here in Arizona, which is big car week. Monterey is another one. Italiano Concorso was another opportunity that went flat. So we had a lot of gigs nationally. And I'll just share with you guys, I'm grateful because I had quintuple heart bypass back in February. So I'm not keen to getting into a tube and flying. So I like the idea of mobile. And it's future. And so we can have that flexibility. And, I got to stay cautious, with it and without being paranoid. But, in this business, you guys know you got to be able to pivot on a dime.
Yeah,
and I think the business side of things, of course, there's amazing talent with training that has to take place in the service base, whether you're building an LS1 or you're working on a Kia Rio. I mean, there you have to stick with your knowledge base and growing that. But in order to highlight, we don't want to be boxed in our backyard. We do a lot of work with Fireball Tim, which has kind of been dormant. California is just totally, and that's out in Malibu with Ken Vela and many others out there. And so my goal is really to get back east and hit the East Coast. One of our big sponsors, Parts Authority, is based out of New York City,
Yeah.
and, so they're expanding. They've got over 200 stores, and they want to do some more corporate type stuff. But, that RV is going to just take us there. That's it. I got a toilet, bed, and a camera and a microphone.
It'll be good with the RV because you will actually get to see stuff that
the country.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Get off the road, go find that mom and pop place that's been running since 1952.
Hang out with Coverman 66,
baby. That's what I'm saying.
Hey,
so
exactly.
LS installs for an hour or so. Yeah.
Frank, me and Terry was just talking yesterday about doing some travel and hitting these garages and different builders and so it's on our radar too, man. It's in the plans.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we got some musicians here. I don't know if the quiet secret should get out of the cat's bag.
Sure, sure.
Three drummers.
Oh, we got a rhythm section going right now.
You got three drummers sitting here.
I didn't grow up with
a little bit of piano. You see it right back there.
Yeah.
I'm a jazz trombonist, and that's how I started.
Nice.
There you go.
So
Nice.
you guys can check that out. But
You got to get the band together.
We're gonna do like a
band together.
man. We're gonna do it's gonna be like the Blues Brothers. Oh, on brass, you give me brass, and you sold me, man. Since I'm a kid, Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Those bands,
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, exactly. Power.
So
Tower, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I never thought I'd be in this industry. I started late. I was military. And brought me out to San Diego, went to, Persian Gulf, all that stuff back in the mid-late 80s. But I went to Music and Art Fame School. I played Carnegie Hall, Tito Puente, Dizzy Gillespie, Branford Marsalis on vibraphone. We did some stuff, and I never thought I'd switch gears.
All the names, that's great stuff.
Yeah, no, you guys check it out online. It's all out there. But my thing is this. Somehow that crazy mess of music kind of comes together. And there is talk about, trying to put together a little industry band, and so we got how many drummers? 4 drummers?
Nah,
Three.
All right.
I'm a DJ.
Oh yeah.
I'll spin in between the cut.
You're not a laptop. Are you old school now? Not a laptop DJ. You get in
old school.
Technique 1200s.
1200s, baby.
There you go.
Techniques.
Yeah.
Techniques. I did play at the Apollo. I played at the Palladium. I played at CBGB's many times.
Nice.
It's kind of cool because I'm sitting up here. I'm like, wow. I'm sitting in the room where the Ramones and Blondie and the Police. Look at me.
Yeah.
Didn't that place stink?
No, I actually hung out there. But worse than that,
yeah.
we used to hang at the Continental, which was a real. It made CBGB's look like
Yeah.
Like Radio City.
Yeah. And then you got Martha's Attic, man. I've been all over there.
You ever been to a place
another
called?
place right next to it that's pretty nice. They have like the lounge. That's nice.
Oh,
You ever been to My Father's Place?
oh, geez, back in Roslyn, yeah, and that's reopened again. It's now the Roslyn Hotel. In fact, shit, I just had his name. The guy who ran it, he's still running it. In fact, he comes on Rob Leonard's show. The guy who's before us on Sunday, he comes in a couple times a year in the studio and talks about the goings on at My Father's Place.
We used to go there all the time, and then there was always this one guy who played keyboards, and he did his own music, and it was the filthiest music you ever heard. I forget the dude's name though.
John Valby.
Yeah, that's who it is.
Because he was
We
used
used to
on Long
go
Island.
see him all the time.
Valby was all over the clubs on Long Island. Yeah,
He had the most vile,
Yeah.
filthy songs, but
and
you're
you either
drunk,
loved
you
or you
just
hated him.
laughed.
Yeah, you either loved or you hated him. Yeah,
He was unbelievably
he's still
funny.
around. He is still around.
He's got to be like 75 or 80 now.
Yeah, he calls himself the Mad Professor of. He's got some weird tagline, but yeah, he's still
Oh
out.
my God.
He's like an Uncle Floyd, but like
Yeah.
crossed with Jerry Lewis and Boris Karloff. I don't know. I don't even know.
Jesus.
Yeah, I can give a big shout out to my boy Jeremy Winters. What's up, Jeremy? What's happening, buddy?
Whoa, what happened there?
Sonic overload.
That was a real shout out. He got a little volume
Yeah.
right there.
Big shot.
You know,
You had that V, you made a pin.
that's what I'm saying. Pin, you see that?
Right.
Yeah.
The pack was in the red line.
That was the woofer, man. Just going boom, boom. You know, good bass.
You were up there at +3.
Yeah.
Plus
So,
three.
so Frank,
Right? I
tell
know
us-
my VU meters.
Yeah.
You.
hey Frank, now that we're live everywhere,
Yeah.
can let people know how to find you on the internet and your
Yeah,
channel.
right on. I appreciate that. So Wrench Nation Car Talk, and then our brick and mortar is Desert Car Care, and then you just Google Frank Leutz. It's out there, Leutz. And the biggest thing is this: it's not about me. You know, it's our platform is a community, and we're trying to share the story and try to invigorate and inspire. And Wrench Nation Car Talk is a platform. As I said, we'll hopefully listen. I could be wrong. We could watch this replay down the road and say that guy was lying, but I'm predicting 2022 Prince will get out of his grave because we will, as a society, party like this a motherfucker India. We are bent up. We're twisted.
Yeah.
I went outside my house to have some apple juice and I got excited. What happened to us? We need to get together. Humanity. I think we're going to whip it this year. And I'm getting excited. I got goosebumps right here, peoples. Look at this right here. I'm just saying it's coming. It's coming.
I don't know about you, man. I'm buzzing like a cheap TV over here. And I'll tell you what, in this band, you're getting a microphone.
But would you guys agree with me? You guys listening right now, get in the comments. Jeremy Winters is up in here. Jeremy, is that our body shop guy?
Yeah, that's him.
Jeremy, he's been on the show.
That's him.
He does amazing things on the collision side by education.
He
I'll
is
tell you
sick.
what.
He is sick.
Yeah. Lewis, have you had Jeremy on yet?
No, we have to
No,
get
we
that.
got him on.
Yeah,
I got his pertinence. We're gonna talk with him. We're gonna get him in there. Jeremy, guess what? You're gonna be on the show, bro.
Yeah, Jeremy, I'll reach out.
Jeremy Winters.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit him right now. Let me see.
He may be in a paint booth or recovering from the paint booth.
Serious.
Yeah.
What's up, Jeremy? So let me ask you guys. I'd like to get a take on this. I had a few Formula One types on the show. I've had a few authors over from Europe, and Formula is is huge.
Yeah,
And I don't think it's so my question I would pose, where do you think we'll be regarding the conventional motorsports, i.e. NASCAR, NHRA, 5 to 10 years? Are we losing audience share? You know, we talk about youngsters having an interest, and I get it. Drift is still drift. Like Formula Drift is killing it. Despite COVID, they're still present. But where are we going to be with traditional motorsports? I'd like to pass that around.
You know what I think we're
who are in it are having trouble with sponsorship is a big problem.
Yeah.
That's one. And I think, okay, let's take it like this. I think the new stuff like autocrossing, drifting will now be the forefront because let's look at it like this. Boxing. You remember 10 years ago, boxing was the game.
Yes.
But now you got that UFC that is real.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who the heavyweight champ is at this point. Do you?
Yeah, me either.
Don't forget WWE.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. WWE, right? So I think that what's it called? The new motorsport that's going to be blown up is probably going to be autocrossing and like that drifting. That drifting is sick.
You
You
know,
know why? It's a money thing.
Yeah, it's a money thing.
NHRA is losing because of the technology attached to the price. And if you're going to run, say, Top Fuel, and it costs you $6,000 to make a 3-second pass, they price themselves completely out. And NHRA has consistently tried to slow them down or shorten the track, do whatever they can do to try to control it in the effort that it's going to save money. But it just makes these $1 million plus per year crew chiefs work that much harder.
Yeah.
Look at the speeds that they're running now at 1,000 feet that they could never even run that speed 6-7 years ago in a full quarter of a mile. So drag racing, I mean, you just go to a drag strip and look at what's going on. And the days of the guy that puts his car on an open trailer and goes to the track, they're gone. Yeah. Everybody's got toters. They've got stacker trailers. Yeah. They're rolling in. There's guys that are sportsman guys are rolling in 53-foot rigs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The whole sport. And then you look at the grandstands. No matter what NHRA tries to do with the camera, you can't hide what's going on. There's nobody in the stands. It costs you a minimum of about $160 to $170 per person to go to the track and get something to eat and maybe buy a T-shirt.
Yeah, who can afford that?
It's totally no longer a family sport. You know, they try to do that deal. Oh, it's wholesome. It's this, it's that. No, they have completely priced themselves out. You go to a NASCAR event. Everybody that's at the NASCAR, I went to the Daytona 500. They were all stoned and falling down drunk. And I'm like, you know what? I'll never go back to another NASCAR event. It's better to watch it on TV.
It's better to watch on TV. And as far as the formula, I compare that to like soccer. Soccer, just no matter what you do, isn't going to be big over here. I'm sorry.
Right.
Outside of this country, it's huge. But Formula One, I mean, you got your Formula One heads here, but like you said, the auto sport that's now is NASCAR and NHRA.
Yeah, John. Well, first of all, are you sure that wasn't a tiki party in your backyard where you saw those guys? Because I heard about those parties. You know?
Yeah, well,
and
you think back on NASCAR, 15, 20 years ago, you had the guys out in the middle with their school buses and four-wheel drives. You don't see none of that no more. They pushed those people out of there. Now it's all $1 million trucks and $1 million RVs sitting in there. Yep. So that's a big problem. I
worked with Doug Kalita. I've worked with JFK Racing. Great guy. Of course, now Kalita Air, right? A lot of it is, hey, if we got to have the sponsors, we got to be disciplined. But I also worked with a young cat by the name of Blake Alexander.
Yeah.
Back and forth. And, he shares one of our sponsors. And we talk about this all the time. That's a guy on a small budget who is spending most of his time working the marketing machine. And my point is, when as a fan base, you go to these outfits, we want to watch good racing, but we quickly lose that relationship. Like, I can't identify with this. Like, I think the appeal with NHRA is that we can still get in the pit and watch the build. And there's some connection there. But I think with drift racing, it's enabled the average kid to say, you know what, I'm gonna build this. We just had Matt Hogan on with Hogan Racing out of Scottsdale, and he's been grounded like a lot of them because of COVID. But here's the kid. This kid's got a degree from one of the big universities out in California in business marketing, and he wants to drift, and he's made it through some of the ranks, and then COVID came, and this kid right now, he's grounded, and he's just trying to stay relevant, YouTube channel, things like that, until he gets back at it. But I think the identification to, hey, can I do that? Like you mentioned, $6,000 a run, the trailer's $500,000, and it's like, I don't feel a connection. And until these traditional motorsports, especially NASCAR, I'm disgusted with NASCAR. I'm not a highfalutin media guy, but it was almost like I had to get Secret Service security clearance. I mean, it was like, really? And then if we're going to do a track run and do some work on the track, if you ain't ESPN or Fox Sports,
you ain't getting in.
I mean, and I'm saying, well, we're trying to bring this to the people, the average people. I'm not highfalutin here. I got a little base that we got, and we're just trying to promote your brand. And I think it's just got so far disconnected. My opinion.
I used to work a camera for a video production company on Long Island. Guy Dean, he was into motorsports because somebody took him to the track and he saw how visceral top fuel cars are. And he looked at it from the perspective of somebody that would shoot film, video. And he was the guy that invented all of the shots that you see on TV now for drag racing. He got permission from the people that owned Raceway Park in Englishtown, New Jersey, and said, look, I want to bring my video cameras here and I want to film stuff. He said, but I'm going to be kind of unorthodox about doing it, but I'll be safe. He was the guy that stuck the camera in the driver's face as he was backing up his top fuel car. He's the guy that would take the camera and lift it up and put it through the funny car hatch while John Force was, getting set. He would stand behind the car or put the camera down behind the car and watch the car get small real quick. And then ESPN and way back when, Diamond P, which was NHRA's deal, they would literally steal his shots, and they basically pushed this guy out of the business. They made it to the point where they would not give him credentials anymore. And he was the creator. This was the guy that changed the face of drag racing on TV. Because way back when, it was 2 or 3 cameras and ABC's Wide World of Sports twice a year. They'd put a couple of towers up and they would just pan. And that was coverage of drag racing, and it was terrible. And Dean got right in their face and completely changed it around. But, the corporate machine shoved them away. It's a shame.
Yeah. Now this just came full circle. We started out talking about how the kids aren't connecting with the motorsports and the motor in the industry. Well, the companies have pushed everything out where kids don't want to learn to build their own motors because they're thinking, I got to have $50,000 to build a motor. That it's out of their vision.
Check it out. You take a guy like Jeremy. I know he's listening. You take a guy like Terry. You take a guy like Ray. You take a guy like Lewis. Madison Avenue. And trust me, I've had PR representation Madison Avenue and they're so far disconnected. I mean, in their mind, let's run a billboard on a bus. And that's how we'll get brand reach. And right now, a beautiful thing is taking place. A beautiful thing. And that's the organic of you. Who are you? Do you? Be you. People could connect to that. And so some of that, I think, is that a lot of traditional motorsports, you don't need brand A. You don't need brand A Madison Avenue, right? You need a guy like Terry to be on the track, or Lewis, or Ray, anybody listening and hanging out in the comments that's just telling the story, because people connect with that. And until Madison Avenue figures that out, it's highfalutin. It's highfalutin. And no, I respect our European brothers and sisters in motorsports. It's a different gig. If I go to Italy, it's a different gig. It's a different culture. It's a different mantra. They look at things differently in terms of e-formula and things like that. But here stateside, I worry about not so much NHRA, because once you smell that, I don't care who you are, I think you're addicted.
Yeah.
I truly worry about NASCAR, and I'm hopeful that there's some sort of reinvention. I agree with you, Terry. I think I use the analogy all the time. You went from boxing to UFC, and I think Mike Tyson and a few others maybe were the last of the excitement. You know, we would have paid a lot of money to sit in and watch 30 seconds of a fight in Vegas because Tyson was done, and that was exciting. And we didn't feel like we got ripped off because it was visceral. It was an experience. It was I'm engaged in a reciprocation. And now you just can't take it to a point where it's so right now what I'm saying is organically it's time. So I mentioned Jeremy because I admire what Jeremy's doing on the collision side. That's a real niche. And so, hey, you know what? If you're a big brand paint booth, if you're a big brand spray gun, whatever, that's a guy you want to look at, because that's a guy that's in it to win it. He's real and raw. He makes the mistakes because people want to see mistakes before perfection, right? You guys know that. Yep. And so it's a good time, but it's a little goofy time at the same time. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's nice is that we're all connected. Like you're in California or Arizona, raised in New York. I'm in Ohio. You know, everybody's spread out and we're all connected. And, you know, you mentioned Bogey, you know, we're all connected. We all know each other. And I think we need to keep putting our heads together to go against that big corporate, not go against them, but to teach them that, hey, you got to come back to the normal guy. You know, so we just got to.
The best way to do that, best way to do is what you're doing now. You know, reaching out to people on your platform, on everyone's platform, where you don't need like a big, you know, Motor Trend or something like that, because at the end of the day, they're looking at numbers, man. If the numbers don't match, you're off. But
Motor Trend's a juggernaut. They've got the best programming.
Yeah,
you look at the shows Motor Trend has. Come on, you know.
Yeah, but you know what? But then some of these guys aren't getting paid like most people think.
No.
Or if you get someone,
I don't know. It's got nothing to do with the money. It's as a viewer's perspective,
right?
You've got everything: Junkyard Gold, you know, Roadkill. They've got
right. Yeah, but those are only a few. But then you got many guys out here. You got more guys out here with YouTube channels that are making a dent bigger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Most of these guys on Motor Trend, you know, most of it, because when you think about it, how many shows does Motor Trend really have? Maybe 10. I mean,
12. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
we had Humble Mechanic and Eric the Car Guy on the show. In fact, I just thought it'd be funny as heck. We had
Eric the Car Guy's a trick.
Yeah, we had Scotty Kilmer on, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Oh boy.
And I had to get him on because the professional side of the industry can't stand the guy because it seems like he's giving away bad secret, like bad stuff. And Scotty just said, hey, listen, you know, he's nuts. He said, listen, I made $300,000 a month he figures he makes a penny a view. And he's built that. And now he's got some value. He's serving and he's built his audience. But I agree with you, Terry. It's not necessarily brand endorsement deals first. It's really about building a community. And, you know, it's a great time for anyone that's passionate about whatever they're doing. And as an influencer / creator, you go back when we grew up, you kidding me? You waiting outside CBS or ABC, and I work with ABC 15 and it's all protocol and everything. But you know what? The producers know. Let me do my thing. Excuse me, you journalist. Don't railroad my segment. Just chill. We'll have fun, because that's what it's about, having your voice. And so I think YouTube, if you're gonna dance with YouTube, like Eric the Car Guy, Humble Mechanic, and Scotty, that's a whole different beast. But on average, I think it's 8 to 10 years. 8 to 10 years before, I watch Humble Mechanic, and he's amazing. Not only is he a great, authentic influencer and ranch, but he's also an excellent European/Volkswagen instructor. And he's approaching, I think he's got over 500,000 subs, and he's built out a nice little brand, for himself. But it didn't happen overnight.
No, and that's what I tell everyone who always asks about YouTube and all that. I'm like, don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the money. Put the content out there. Believe the content, because if you don't believe it, it's going to come. People going to see it. Just put it out. Money will come. Don't worry about it. And if it doesn't, you're doing it for the right reasons. You're trying to help people get a message out. So don't worry about, if you're doing it for money, you might as well don't even do it. Yeah. By the time you start making dollar, as far as, you'll see a check for like 10 cents. So don't do it for the money. Don't do it for the money. Do it for, hey, I want to make a difference. Hey, I figure out, maybe help these people who want to put LSs in their cars so they don't have to go and get jerked when they go to a mechanic or something like that. Because there's really, when you think about it, if it's not like a person from YouTube, who can you bring your car to and say, okay, give me an LS in my car with all the bells and whistles and make it affordable? Because by the time you put the LS in there, then you got to go and get the drive shaft done up, and then you got to go and get the computer tuned. And I'm not even talking about all the little bells and whistles as far as like engine mounts and transmission mounts, and depending on what transmission you want. It's expensive. If you farm that out, it's going to be expensive. By the time you're done, that guy's going to give you a bill for $20,000 just for putting a regular 350 horsepower LS engine in.
Yeah.
So do it yourself, man.
And then you got guys that do it. They kind of fell into it because they were just doing it for the entertainment. We got a guy here in Florida, Cletus McFarland.
Right.
Yep.
That dude is huge, and he's got a lot of followers, and he's got sponsors, and he's making money, and he literally bought
a racetrack.
No. Next to the drag strip in Bradenton. The raceway closed down. Nobody was doing anything with it. It was falling apart. He bought it, and he is in the process of revitalizing that track. He had a big, drifting pad put in, and that guy puts out videos. He puts out like 2 to 3 videos a week.
Yeah.
He's constantly filming, constantly editing, putting stuff out, and it's entertaining. He's a car guy, but he's entertaining. He's insane. He's got a 7-second Corvette with a turbo that's like sticking way out of the hood, kind of like a roadkill sort of deal. He did an episode about 2-3 months ago. He bought a hovercraft from some fire department out like in the Midwest. Yeah. Saw it on Craigslist or something, had it shipped in, and where he lives, he's got like a pond in his backyard. So he's tooling around with this thing, and then they took it out on the river. Every couple of days, he's got some other motorsport thing going on, and the guy he's monetized that channel. He's awesome. He'd be a really cool guy to talk to.
Yeah. Matt Farah was a guest some time ago, Smoking Tire Podcast, another great guy in the media side of things. Very individual, unique take on automotive. And I haven't heard much of Matt Farah by way of seeing his presence out there as he were years ago promoting Smoking Tire. He's actually a respected journalist in the arena. But what Matt did, similar to this gentleman out in Florida you're talking about, he took it from that digital space, and Matt opened up these sort of luxury condos out in California. And now he's pretty much brick and mortar. So that may have taken over what he started at as the digital platform. I think it's important that just like every single nut and bolt going back on a motor, every single nut and bolt should be part of a legitimate business plan for any content that goes out, whether it's MP3, right, audio, whether it's video. I think as individuals that spend time, lots of time, right, this content, to be able to translate that idea or creative at the moment, you should protect it. You should be able to repurpose it and always think about what's to come. I think a lot of creators don't do that. They start and then they're in it, and they can actually dial it in that much better if they just had a simple 5-point business plan. And the most important thing, why? How many do we see out there that come and go? And it's a tragedy, because if you're hanging on YouTube providing content and you're trying your best, it's time consuming, to say the least. And if you're high level, producing with a few people helping you out or whatnot, or even if you're solo and you're working 20 hours, 30, 40 hours on a little 7-8 minute run without a business plan, you just come and go, and it time is too precious, And so I think it's important. I see that a lot in the industry. I talk to a lot of shop owners. I do the Ratchet and Wrench expos and work with them, and I deal with the branding side of the industry. And what happens is a lot of folks end up self-monitoring. They're on their camera, on their phone, and they become something totally different. And I think the biggest factor is you've got a garage, you've got enough content, and you know what? If the toilet broke and your guy's fixing it, that's content. It doesn't always have to be automotive related. I always said that people want the people, right? So tell the true story of your garage. You had a break-in. You've seen an uptick in homeless people sleeping around the corner now because of our sad state of, what's going on in perhaps in the economy, or people that aren't eating, all those things. It's content, because what happens is we start to self-monitor, and I think people get disconnected from that.
Frank, I have a funny story about that. We've always said one of our we make up taglines as we go, and one of them is we've probably we've worked on it, we've broken it, we've beat it, we've burnt it, and then we fixed it, and we said I'll open the show and say, look, we'll talk about anything from cars to motorcycles to trucks to jet skis, ceiling fans, lawnmowers. If it's got a motor, mechanical, we'll talk about it. Well, years ago, I made an air cleaner out of a ceiling fan for my Fiat. And a guy calls the show the next week and says, hey, I got a question about my ceiling fan. And we're like, huh? He's like, yeah, I heard you guys talking about ceiling fans. I was like, well, no, what you heard was I took a ceiling fan and made an air cleaner out of it. I said, but okay. I said, look, I got an electrical background. What's the problem with your ceiling fan? And we diagnosed and fixed this guy's ceiling fan and said, hey, we'll just roll with it, man. Like, what's the difference? Who cares? So it spoke to that point perfectly. And we had so much fun doing that because it was a left field question. But if it wasn't out of our purview, and we said, good, that's good show content.
Yeah. I want to recognize in the comments, Outlaw Edge stated that's exactly why they don't edit the videos. Look, man, if you're running a true blue garage and you don't got a production squad, your edits are going to be what they are. But as long as it's real, genuine, and there's some purpose and mission, and you've helped a few people, maybe you're lucky you've entertained a few people. So kudos to Outlaw Edge. I don't know Outlaw Edge, but I wanted to recognize that because
we'll get you connected up.
Oh no, you're gonna Arco and Heidi. You probably seen them. You probably know.
I'm just saying, we're busy working on cars and people, who own those cars. And I threw myself. I tell you, I totally respect the audio and video side of the industry. Those folks should command as much money as they get. Yeah. But I told myself 5 years ago, man, if I can rebuild a 350, I can figure out this Final Cut Pro. And it's the mother. And there, it got to a point, guys. I'll be honest with you. This new Apple phone, it was, hey, you know what? We're just going to produce it off this Apple phone and be done with it.
Yeah. Listen, me and Terry was just talking to Heidi and Arco yesterday about the iPhone. You can go from video to production to podcasts all on your phone and send it out.
And it's funny because I told one of my buddies a long time ago, I said, you need to start doing, because he's a mechanic. And I said to him, if you film just every day and just put what you just do on an everyday basis, you would do so great. Because like What I do is I do fair weather stuff. The target that I hit is small because like Chevelle's, LS installs, body work, that's small. He does the everyday where how many people have Accords that how do you replace a fuel pump in an Accord?
Yeah.
That's stuff that most people wouldn't mind doing. I mean, like as far as if it's going to save you a couple of $100, you know.
Did you know the computer on an Accord is under the front floorboard?
Yes.
See, now that's what I'm talking about. Some
Right.
people don't know that. You know, now
Yeah.
if you had an Accord, and how many Accords are there? Are a lot more Accords out there than there are Chevelles.
Yeah.
And a lot more than
Sure.
there are 56 Chevys too.
We
Exactly.
we
Put them together,
started
you still got more Accords.
Right.
we started primarily from an SEO perspective. We knew about 10 years ago we'd have to get into the arena of putting up some videos. And you know, so in my mind, I thought, wow, you know, I don't edit, I don't do anything, but you know what? I could add music. Well, when you added the music, it didn't fit right. The volume was out to lunch. And so what happens, what happens is you end up, you may have just taught somebody like the computer on the floorboard passenger side, something really valuable, or, you know, how to install an oil pressure switch and reset, whatever. But you realize you got so fancy with post-production, then your hate starts coming in. And so it really is, you just get back to basics and stick on point. I like the idea of Terry, of your friend. There's a few professionals out there that are out of their garage and they're you know, they're sharing what's going on, and it's commendable. Look, at the end of the day, it was Eric the car guy that said this on the show. He was like, hey, you know, if I can help a few people, I've never swayed away from that, and that's what I'm going to do. You know, that's genuine, you know. And so, but yeah, you can't get too crazy with editing, man. It's
right.
Yeah, it could take up your whole day.
Oh, yeah.
Editing, just like the little snippet and all that. Try to sync up the video to the music and no.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Oh, I
gentlemen,
gotta
it's time for me to head on off. I got to get early morning.
Hang on, Terry. I got to share a story. Don't go. You ready?
All
Real
right,
quick.
one more. Go for it.
All right. So we get a phone call. Our garage services inside of 400 cars a month, to give you perspective. So we get a phone call today, and we're busy. And fella says, young guy out of ASU, the Arizona State University, Tempe area, says, I get out my car and it's loud. He's driving a Toyota Prius. I said, okay, well, when's the last time you drove it? He said, last night. I said, where do you park? He said, well, in the apartment complex. And I said, when you say loud, is it real loud? He goes, yeah, it's never been that way. I said, did it gradually go? He said, no. He said, it just became loud. I said, okay, does your apartment complex have video cameras for security? Because I think somebody just stole your cat. With that said, we are seeing, guys, we're seeing uptick in these crackheads stealing cats again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
They were stealing them here out of SUVs because you could roll under them. There were
Yeah.
a couple of them a few years ago that were high enough, and you could literally roll over and with a battery powered saw have that cat out in like under probably half a minute.
But a Toyota Prius, we're in the garage because we've seen the trucks, and Honda CRVs are a big target. Believe it or not, Toyota Prius is, and currently national back order. Now we'll send the guy to an aftermarket exhaust shop. We don't do exhaust. He'll save a ton of money, get it fixed. But those things are on national back order, so it must be a big problem.
The U-Haul up near me, they were having a problem. They had what's it called? Because you can get right up under them and take them out.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah, well the schools. I mean, the school we hear it once in a while. 40 school buses hit. I mean, that's so now you see. If you tell your guy, the mechanic guy, you know, Terry, tell him to get in the niche of cat converter locks.
Yeah.
There's a few guys selling these locks.
Really? Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, but if you just cut the pipe in front and cut the pipe in the back, how you
Yeah. Right. The front and back.
how
yeah.
you locking the converter up?
I don't know. I
Gary,
don't.
what time is it?
10:53.
No, I mean, I did that on Sunday. I fed Steve Magnante his ending line from Junkyard Gold.
Yeah,
I
that
said,
kind of
"Steve,"
went right past them.
I know. I said, Steve, what's your? Because Chris has an ending line. He always says, "Don't follow us home." I don't really have one. I said, Steve, what's your tagline from Junkyard Gold? He goes, and he went into telling us what the times and the channels. I'm like, no, you say hasta mañana. You know? So I said I did it for him. So Terry, what time is it?
Looking at the clock on the wall.
That's what I want to hear.
Or the ceiling.
Or the
All right,
ceiling.
I say ceiling. It's time for us to head on out, and always, as always, be easy.
That's
right,
what I
Terry.
want to hear.
All right, Terry, be cool.
Take care, everyone. Take
Take
care.
care, guys.
Good luck. You got me. You got me.
It's amazing how often that works. Because like John said, yeah, Steve went right over his head. I'm like, dude, I just fed you your tagline. You know, just say it. Yeah, well, live radio. That's what I love about it. You never know what you're going to get.
Unreal.
Yeah. Well, I got to jump too. I gotta go hold this couch down. I was trying to get away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, this COVID ain't no joke, man. I've been beat. Like it's.
You have it now?
Yeah. I got it. I tested last Friday, and I haven't been real sick. It's just fatigue and achy in my bones. It's like a bad flu, man.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no joke.
The media has been playing this up for a year now, but I got a couple of doctor friends, and they're like, dude, this is just a flu that we've never had before.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's lingering.
I don't know. It's lingering around.
Yeah.
And they keep talking about how it's changing. You know? And then
You just kicked your mic off, John.
He shut himself up.
You muted yourself.
Yeah. I watched some video last night that showed patented proof that Fauci and a couple other people and some big institutes own the fucking rights to this COVID shit.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. They invented it. They patented it years ago.
Yep.
And then when our government said, we're not spending any more money with this crap, they went and funded China. And it's all there in this video. And this guy shows you scans of the U.S. patent COVID.
Wow, they even patented it. That's crazy.
Yeah, this thing is bullshit. And every time I see that guy Fauci's face on TV telling us about it, and I'm like, you little fucking worm.
Yeah.
You're making a boatload of money, and now he's working for Biden.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I'm not happy with this guy. I was going to give him a chance.
Yeah.
Rolled in there. What the fuck you think he did? Shut down the wall, shut down the pipeline.
50,000 jobs. Al Handy sent me an email today. 50,000 jobs gone.
Hard for people that didn't vote for me as the ones that did.
Right.
And if you work on a pipeline from Canada down, fuck you. You ain't got a job no more.
Yeah.
He wrote that bitch off yesterday. That was one of the first things he signed.
Yeah.
He's a fucking piece of shit. I don't care. Let him send the freaking Secret Service here. He's a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. You know, my wife was saying she watched his the speech and I didn't, but she said, you know, like toward the end, she goes, I couldn't even understand